Welcome everyone. Welcome to the unknown. And it's kind of interesting today because I feel like something's deepening in this subject, because the reason why this came about was because I actually don't know what I'm going to talk about today. And so I'd been thinking over the week, okay, what did I want to talk about? But nothing was really coming together. And so time seemingly going along and still didn't have a clue. So I thought, okay, well, it's the unknown. And even today, I was thinking about the previous shows, and I thought, yeah, there were still some things that I was sort of prepared to talk about. But somehow it feels like this deeper trust. And today I've probably been sat downstairs meditating for like an hour and a half. And it's just been very, very peaceful. And the moment I start trying to think about what I was going to do here, it just didn't feel good. There's like some slight anxiety coming up, as if there was some pressure that I had to do something. And I thought, wow, this is really, really interesting. This just feels like a deepening in trust. And I think this is like, in a way, a theme in the mind. It's not really personal. There's something, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like there was something that was just coming through and just saying, no, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen today. Just let it all unfold as it's supposed to. And so I've been thinking about actual, planning. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting. This is very different for me. I could see how much I do plan in my mind a lot. And this was showing me, no, there is no plan. And of course, that's what the Course teaches. To be in His plan, not in our plan. And planning really comes from fear. Fear of not knowing. What might I say? What might I do? What might happen? And so, as I got given these episodes, that's what it really does feel very, very beautiful, to help me heal. That I can see that planning in the beginning, when I did the Divine Intervention shows, you can watch them on Living Miracles as well. I did them with Anna, and they were very, very planned, but in a very prayerful way, in a very beautiful way. We would get our Course quotes and just find really beautiful prayers together, and just long prayer, and really discuss the theme throughout the week. And then it's almost like a presentation. And that was just amazing. It was just wonderful that I needed that. And then through doing now the online retreats, they were planned as much as possible. But of course, what was the interesting thing is that every time we planned, the plan was wiped out. Particularly when we did the online retreats, because something else wanted to come through. So I was seeing that it was just my fear, just in case I ran out of something to say, or that I'm responsible for saying something. If I've been put in this role, then I have a responsibility to it. And yeah, there is a responsibility, but it doesn't need to come from fear. And so I think this is what this journey's been all about up until this point. And so I could feel actually this week of the planning, wanting to plan. And there was that wanting to plan, but nothing was coming together. There was no fruit from it. Even though there was really beautiful things that had been happening, there was nothing sort of substantial like it normally would become clear, like the last episodes. But in this one, no, it just didn't happen. And I noticed that I didn't feel that anxious about it. I just thought, yeah, it's a deepening in trust, and that something is going to want to really, really reveal itself. And it's kind of interesting, actually. I was just reflecting on that the lesson, if I defend myself, I am attacked, is lesson 135. And in there, it's where he talks about planning. Basically, that planning is fear, but the only plan is that you will be told of the plan. It's not your own personal planning, but you'll be told of the plan. And so I was on this lesson for some time, I don't know how long ago, maybe 2 months ago, month ago. And it just stayed with me, that lesson. I couldn't get out of there. And I thought, wow, this is somehow something was very deep inside. I felt he really wants me to get this lesson. And so I kind of felt like I went as far as I could with the lesson. And then sort of moved on to other things. And it was interesting. I sat back and I thought, did I actually get the lesson? Oh well, I don't know. I can't judge whether I got the lesson at that time, what he wanted me to learn at that time. But something was different, that's for sure, about how I was reading it and how I was perceiving it. And it was around this planning. It was really in my mind. It's been in my mind for some time, thinking, wow, there's so much planning goes on. Why am I doing that? And so, of course, as I've just said, it's through that fear. But I think now the kind of reflection is like, in a way, that preparation with not being able to plan was for this moment here, in saying to me that, yeah, you can do it, because it's not you that's going to do it. It's for you to learn that I am with you, and that there's nothing to be afraid of. That no matter what you plan, in actual fact, when you plan, you actually get in the way of the greater plan. And so it's always being configured back and back and back in your own mind to get to the place where you're empty. So you can just say, okay, this is for you. This is not for me any longer. I need to step out of the way of everything. And I need to deepen in trust. And as we know, trust will settle every problem. So it's a pretty important thing, really. But it definitely is. It's interesting how he named it, the development of trust, because it definitely does feel like that. I mean, because if you'd have told me 2 years ago, when we started the very first shows, that I would sit here and do a show without planning it at all, I definitely wouldn't, I wouldn't have believed it. I didn't think it was possible. So it just feels like there's some sort of deepening in that trust. Because as I shared on the very first show, this isn't really about me. This is about letting go of what I think is best for me. And it's to be used. For me to be used, this instrument, to be used in the best possible way for the greater plan. And that's why it's the unraveling, because there's a lot of control. That's been another thing I've thought about. I think about it a lot, actually. I always pray to let go of control, because I can see how harmful it is. I can see how it creates a barrier, just this stuckness. in wanting to control things that are seemingly out of my control. And so that has been a very, very deep prayer for some time. And it's like when those feelings come up where it just doesn't feel good anymore, you just don't want it. You just think, this can't be helpful. So it's clearly egoic that I'm holding on to something. And it's the opposite. It's that we want to learn to trust. I think that's what we're all saying to ourselves. Have you really got me? I mean, probably that's the ultimate thing that we're all asking. I mean, even so now under these circumstances, it's like we have gone into an unknown place. No one knows what they're doing. I saw some comedian, I think she was. I didn't really know who she was. I don't know. I just saw it on YouTube. I was like clicking on it, and she put all these cameras in front of herself. I mean, microphones to make it look like she was like from a news presenter or something, but she actually wasn't. So I was drawn to her. I was like, what's she doing? So I tap on this thing. And then she was just sharing about the whole contradiction of this whole thing. Coronavirus survives in the hot. No, coronavirus survives in the cold. Coronavirus only affects young children. Coronavirus won't affect children. Coronavirus only affects the old. Only affects the ill. No, it doesn't. And so she was just going through all of these complete and utter contradictions that are going on. And of course, that's no one's fault. No one knows what's going on, and no one ever has known what's going on. That's the whole point. So in a way, it's like nothing has changed in the world because no one knows what they're doing. There's no one person on this planet that knows what we're actually doing, because there is actually no solution here. There's nothing actually going on that is affecting you in any way or can affect you. But it's this belief that it can affect. And so it seems like we're going into this unknown. Okay, what's gonna happen to civilization? But it's always been the same. I kind of reflect on this. It's like, well, if you want to look at it on a linear time perspective, there's always been some sort of crisis going on in this world since I've been alive. There's never been a time when there's no wars going on or anything like that. There's never been a time when there's nothing to fear. And probably in your times, if you look at it from a linear perspective, nothing's changed. Including this, there's a virus. Well, yeah, we've had all this before. Nothing's changed. Nothing will ever change. Nothing's going to get better. Nothing's going to get worse. It just is what it is. It's just ego thinking. And it's like the more and more we withdraw from that, I think that's where this trust is coming in, because it's like, well, why would you want to trust out there? Why would you want to trust something outside of yourself? Because there's nothing really going on. It's to come back. And so that's what I've felt, even though I don't feel very affected by any of this really, because it hasn't affected my life. It just hasn't affected me personally. That's just as it is. And I know for others that it has. But I think it's a time to reflect, and for this something else to come through. There's a presence that wants to come through, and we seemingly have restrictions, but in a way those restrictions seem very, very important. Seems very important that you just have to stay with yourself. There's not so much of this running around to be done. It's a real time to find ourselves more than ever, and to see the worthlessness of the world, because it is. It's really worthless. It doesn't bring anything. But the state of mind does. And so that's what interests me, and that's what I've seen. I'm seeing that more and more, that it's not about what I do, it's about the connection. And the connection is everything. And that's where the joy is. And just stay in there no matter what comes up. And it's like all these beautiful lessons from A Course in Miracles. It's like they're not. It's not like we're learning something just for the sake of it. We're wanting to experience it. That's the whole point. You know, let all things be exactly as they are, so something else can reveal itself to you. You don't have to feel anxious. You don't have to keep going out to try and satisfy yourself with desires. You can be very much entertained by the one that knows. And it's good to see those desires. It's good to see where you do feel restricted. Because I'm seeing that really need not be. You know, and there's another great lesson. This need not be. I'm forever sending that to my friends when we talk and something's coming up in the mind, and it's really this need not be. There's no need to be anxious. There's no need to be depressed. It's simply thoughts and beliefs that are believed in and swallowed whole. And now it's like, I just feel like we really are coming into a clean slate. Feels like everything's clearing out of the way for the mind to open. Not looking to the world for anything, but for the mind to really, really open. Because that's what I've noticed about myself, which has been very, very interesting actually. I've noticed the past couple of days, something's become much more peaceful. It's like being carried along. It's like I felt like I'm in a tunnel and I'm sort of like being carried along. Like the tunnel is sort of coming like this and I'm just being carried along into something in a very, very beautiful way. It's like everything's being taken care of. And I think that's where the worthiness comes in actually. That you're worthy of being looked after. That you don't actually have to do that. And I think this is what I'm telling myself. That the more and more I can just stay in this I don't know, the more and more something deeper wants to open up, wants to reveal itself. I don't have to add to that. It's just my little willingness. You know, there's another great lesson. It's just my little willingness. That's all it needs. And to think that I need to add anything to this moment is arrogant. And so, of course, the ego loves us to suffer from these things, seeming things of arrogance and trying. I tried so hard, but I just didn't get there. Oh, you failed then, did you? And that's what's in the background, this failing. That's what the ego wants. It wants you to fail. That belief system is failing. But in a way, the worthiness is just the little willingness. That's all I need. I just need to stay completely and utterly open to everything. That was what was talked about last week. Just everything is coming for my greater good. Here's another lesson. Everything is happening for my greater good. There is nothing that needs to be added to this situation or even taken away from this situation. We can stay in this peace together. Because you know what I'm seeing is, that the past is just such a trick. And in a way it's like we want to hold on to the past because we fear the unknown, seemingly. But really it's the known. We fear knowing ourselves. So by holding on to stories, okay, well, at least I seemingly know what happened. But just seeing that is a complete trap. We watched a movie last night in our Wednesday movie nights, and it was called I Can Only Imagine. It's a really good film. And the interesting thing about what happened is it was like a family. Family can be any family, as you share. I used to be a psychotherapist, so you hear all the stories, and they're just it's all really the same. It's all really the same thing. Everybody has their story to tell about what happened in their childhood that seemingly creates this to be here now. And it's like, well, no, that's just this story that has to be let go of to see for real that that's not true. It was funny actually because I studied as a psychotherapist. I had to be the client. So I think I was a client for 10 years, which was super helpful. It was really, really helpful. I am so grateful for that time, and so grateful for the wonderful therapists I had that really, God, they really helped me through a lot, that's for sure. Really helped me to open up. And at the end of the whole thing, the funniest thing about it is of course, because you're just telling your story over and over and over again, and you're just looking at it more and more and more and more and more. And obviously through the training, that's part of it. Just the training that I did was actually more about you. It's more about uncovering. And I remember at the end of it, I just sat there and said, do you know what? I think I've made all of this lot up. And I remember me and the therapist laughing. She said, yeah, you have. And you don't need it any longer. And it's like, yeah, I don't need this any longer. And this was actually before the course. And so then A Course in Miracles came in and then just confirmed that. And of course, the ultimate upset is because you're separate. And when I found out that, it just made complete and utter sense. I thought, wow, there it is. Now I understand. Now I understand all this rejection and abandonment things. Wanting to be on my own, things like that. Wow. It's all because there's separation just being played out in seeming form. And it just hit me inside. And I just thought, wow, this is great. This is the answer to everything. It's just this connection. As he says, you don't belong here. And I was like, God, what a relief. I mean, I know some people get frightened of that. I don't belong. No, you don't belong here. But it's not frightening. It's not frightening at all. Because trying to belong where you don't belong is extremely frightening. It's so difficult, wanting to fit into something that you don't fit into. You know, it's like that children's game, isn't it, where there's a round block and you put it in the round hole, but you're putting it into a square hole and it's not working. And it's like, well, no, that's because you don't belong here. You never have and you never will. And there's something far greater than that. So that has just been, I feel like that's been a gift. That is such a gift. It's a beautiful gift not to belong. Not to belong here anyway, but you belong to something. It's undescribable. That's the problem. Can't describe really what you belong to. Something fills you up. Something's fulfilling, but it's not this world. That's as far as I can say about that. And so in actual fact, that it reminded me actually that at the start of this year, I said, yeah, I'm done with this past story. I'm really, really done with it. It's so boring. That is my one goal. And my overall goal, my bigger goal, my 3-year goal that I set was to dismantle my anger, basically. And of course, that's actually most of it's past. I regurgitate the past, and then I believe that. I still believe those stories. And it's just, yeah, what would I be, or what would you be without that story? Because that story is not happening. I'm choosing to allow it in, as the Course teaches. Well, you're choosing to keep your story, but you can drop it as easy as you made it. And it's just until you want to let go of it, the desire to really, really let go of it, and that's my goal for this year. Because of course we all have that, don't we? We all have those things, those forgiveness lessons that keep coming around and around. Those memories, oh God, I wish I had done that. Why did I do that? And it's like haunting, and you feel hopeless to it. But yeah, I think it's coming to the end. It's pretty uninspiring. And I think that's what's happening. I think that's what the unknown is. It's like the more and more you withdraw from what you thought, the story, the past, then the more and more you go into the unknown, which is a clearing, which is a beautiful clearing. So I think that's what these are all about. There's really nothing to fear. Because that's what's holding everything in place, is fear. And also there's some sort of gratification with holding on to the past. You know, I can see that. Some certain stories that aren't nice, but I find them funny. And I think, yeah, it's a trigger. It's don't forget me. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about these thoughts. And of course, it's just to overlook the error. That everything can be corrected. And I think that's what's been happening actually this week. I think that's actually, now I'm talking here, now it's all coming together. That it's this theme of correction. It's like, that sounds great, doesn't it? Everyone, oh God, yeah, I'd love to be corrected for everything that I've done. And that's what the Course promises. That's what any spiritual path promises, because it's the truth. So we hope for that. I hope for that. I know it's true. I definitely know it's true. And there's time when that wavers, because there's either past or something's happened, and you feel like you're wrong. And of course, as I've been reading, in the course, it's like the ego wants to make it so real, and that there's this mark, that there's this scar that will never be healed because you are a sinner. It is wrong. You are wrong, and you will always be wrong. And now we have the course comes along and says, well, in actual fact, you can correct everything, and everything has been corrected. And the actual truth is that you can only see love. That's what I was reading today. It's actually that you can only see love. It's amazing, isn't it? Unconditional love for everything, and yet you choose not to. Now that is pretty messed up. You're choosing not to. Choosing not to overlook the error. But yeah, somehow I just feel that, I don't know, it feels like it's for everyone. It's like we're all going into this correction or something. I just feel it very strong. That somehow, that whatever you think, that's what he says, whatever you think is not true. So I think we're all going into this somehow. This deeper correction, to see that it's already been corrected. Yeah, this is the time. The time is now. To overlook the error. So that's definitely my prayer. Yeah, there's no need to keep going back. Keep looking forwards. It's interesting because this month's monthly online retreat is Open-mindedness. And that just feels so relevant right now. What if I was wrong about everything? What if I can just open up my mind? Let's just be completely and utterly open that you were completely wrong about everything. Yeah, it's interesting actually, because when I've gone quiet on some of the other episodes, I can see my thoughts of, come on, you've got to say something. I could see it coming in then, wanting to rush me into something. Yeah, it's like the thoughts, okay, you can end it now. But I can feel it's coming from anxiety. Again, it's like that responsibility, so I just don't want to be responding to that. Because it's that something has to be a certain way. It's very subtle, these things. You know, I'm just laughing because this isn't entertainment. You know, the only reason why we come together is to listen to the truth together. And we practice that as best as we can to hear. So it's always having that goal up front, isn't it? Because if that goal isn't up front, then all mayhem can take place. But this is all for you. Just feels precious actually to join in this piece. Yeah, I can see that coming up as if I have to do something. It's really interesting. I shared with Pete actually earlier on. Pete helps in the studio. Without him, this doesn't happen. So deeply grateful for that. Thank you. We don't do this on our own. And I was talking to him and I was saying, like in the past, you know, the mystics and the saints, not that I'm trying to compare myself to anybody of that magnitude, but it's like now we do these sort of like live YouTubes and everything, and like in times gone by, they wrote their books, didn't they? Like, you know, St. John of the Cross, to help us on this journey. And now we do like these, we have like YouTube, we're doing like live dismantling. So it's kind of interesting. Really nothing's really changed, except just the sort of format of what we use to share what we're going through. So I kind of like that. I like that this is live. I'm grateful for this, because I can see that it really is just purely for me in such a beautiful way. I just feel so grateful for the mind training, really. I just feel so grateful for that. It's like I can see now, you know, all of that psychotherapy training. It was just Jesus behind the whole thing. It was just it's so magnificent, preparing me all the time, just with me all the time. You know, when I was in deep despair, when I didn't think I could ever get through anything like this. I was just reminded, actually, we were doing the training and it was so deep. It was really deep and stuff was just coming up all of the time. It was relentless. And I remember walking on the beach and on one of the breaks, I think it was in the morning actually, it was before we actually started, and I was on the beach and I was so anxious. You know, when you're so anxious that you feel like you're almost wetting yourself. And I was in that position. I was like, oh my God, and I was just looking out to the sea. And I was, God help me. You know, I wasn't even aware that I was praying, but I can remember that moment of, I need help. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to keep going on with keep exposing everything in front of 80 people all day long. Is just relentless. But it was like somehow like I couldn't hide it. I just couldn't hide how I felt. These emotions were just coming up that hadn't been expressed before. It was very, very beautiful. And I can just see, yeah, he was there the whole time, just, yeah, this isn't real. This isn't what you are. And it's like somehow I knew that, and I know that. So it's like, in a way, like, is it, you know, the unknown is really the fear of love. But it actually is known. You actually know it, you've forgotten. And that's what this time together is we're just remembering this. We're just remembering again and again. It's the only thing we need to remember. That's what we share. So yeah, this is what this time's all about. We can take that in our heart, in the heart of truth. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel so grateful. Truly. So grateful to do this. So grateful to do this every week. And again, thank you for all your messages, all your sharings. It's extremely helpful. I just love hearing your releases and your what's happening in your mind and what you're going through. So thank you for that. No doubt that helps with the show, and hopefully this may have answered what was on your heart. It's his plan, as we found out today. So yeah, I feel like we're just going to go into this deeper trust this week. We can overlook the error and just accept the correction. So thank you, one and all. Let's expect miracles, always. Bye for now.